Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll be doing a review on what's quite possibly the best $20 boxing glove I've used so far, the Trauemy boxing gloves. So check it out. Hey guys, Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on what's quite possibly the best $20 pair of boxing gloves I've used so far, which are going to be these Trauemy boxing gloves. Got mine in this metallic blue, gold, and white colorway. 14 ounces, and it is a Velcro closure only glove. They also offer it in white and gold, although the exterior design and graphics are a little bit different, and you can get it in 12 ounces if you want to go with something a little bit more compact. The glove is manufactured in China and it utilizes a synthetic leather or polyurethane outside casing as well as layered foam. Now, layered foam to me is probably the biggest deal in my mind, especially for a glove at a $20 price point. Typically when you get these budget gloves, in order to keep the cost down, they usually go with like a cheaper style like molded foam. And it's just easier for them to manufacture and kind of pump these gloves out. And the fact that they went with a layered foam at the price point of $20, I really like. So that's probably the biggest thing about this glove, other than the other features, which we'll discuss here in a second. Now, the reason I'm reviewing this particular pair is a buddy of mine actually had the same exact glove that he used at home in his garage. He would train all the time. You know, he's not a professional or amateur boxer by any means. He just does it for fitness. But he would always rave about these gloves in terms of the way they felt, how they performed. Not so much about the durability, because he's not really like a glove expert per se, but he has enough experience working out. He's in great shape physically. So he's like, hey man, you should check these gloves out. They were only $20 on Amazon. I really love them. I think your viewers on your channel would love to see a review on them as well. So I said, okay, to hell with it. Let me go ahead and pick these up. So I did go on Amazon. These are an Amazon exclusive. Bought them and have used them several times already, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. You know, anytime I get a pair of gloves that are a no-name brand like this one, Trauemy, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, to be honest with you. Trauemy, I don't know. A lot of these gloves are manufactured in China. Some of them are pretty solid when it comes to the craftsmanship. Some of them are not. So it's kind of a mixed bag. You really don't know what you're gonna be getting. And sometimes even the photos that you do see on the website, and then you finally get the gloves don't really look exactly how they did in the photos, so you kind of get misled a little bit. So again, I was a little bit skeptical, but I was like, whatever, I'll give it a shot. They're only 20 bucks, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I've done reviews in the past on some other kind of off-brand Chinese brands that are around like the $20 to $30 price point, and it's really hard to find a really good glove at the $20 to $30 price point. Not so much from a quality standpoint, because in a sense you kind of get what you pay for. You're not going to get the same durability typically out of a cheaper glove than you would pay for like a full genuine leather glove around the $100 price point, or even higher than that typically. So you know, Everlast offers like their Pro Style Elite gloves. There's some other brands that have gloves in that $20, $30 range, but I find that they use like molded foam, which I'm not a fan of, or the synthetics they use for the outside of the synthetic leather is very thin and it gets brittle after a couple of uses from you sweating in on it, or if it's hot where you live, the heat really does a lot of damage and wear and tear on the gloves. So those are a couple of factors when it comes to the cheaper gloves. And I was, again, pleasantly surprised with this one, especially for 20 bucks. So looking at the glove design wise, I'd say it has a little bit more of a stockier profile to it. It's not a very long glove, a little bit more stockier and wider. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Thai style glove, maybe a hybrid between a Thai and a traditional boxing glove. It doesn't have the traditional Thai cuff where it wraps all the way around on the wrist section, but it is a little bit rounded out at the bottom. So it's almost like a half circle at the back part of the wrist. You do have the Trauemy logo, which is a triangle, and I'm gonna guess that's like a T on the inside right here. I'm not sure what that is, but I mean, the logo looks pretty cool. I think it looks sharp. I just don't really know what it means other than that maybe being a T. The other thing I noticed is the placement of the logo on the left and the right glove is a little crooked. So you'll notice that on this one, it's kind of a little bit closer to the thumb. To me, it should have been kind of pulled over a little bit. And you can see it's a little bit crooked. This bottom point is not really centered with the middle of this cuff. The right glove actually was centered. So just the graphic logo right here is crooked. The back of the Velcro strap says Mitchell Martial A. I'm assuming that should have said Arts. I don't know. Trauemy. And then it says established 2008. The choice of STR. So again, I don't know what STR means, and I don't know what Mixed Martial A means. I'm assuming that should have been Arts, but they said whatever, we'll not print the rest of that. So anyhow, you do have a 3-inch Velcro strap that tapers upwards to the inside of the palm. There is a Velcro strap with the gold piping around. The back end of the wrist, I'd say about a 1/2 inch of medium density padding. And then the inside liner at the very bottom has that same synthetic material on the exterior of the glove, but the inside also has that polyester nylon liner. Has a weight tag, 14 ounces, made in China. And you also have, I'd say, maybe a 1/2 inch of really soft padding. It would have been nice if they had something a little bit more firm on the inside of the wrist right there. All the way up to right about here, and then it kind of just stops. So you'll notice there's no actual like stitching or anything. It's just the padding kind of comes up, and then you'll see that it just kind of ends right there, and then right here on this side. Mesh palm right there for those of you guys that hate mesh palms. There you go. That's for you. And then you also have a grip bar, a little bit on the smaller side, and it kind of tapers at the very edge right here. And that's most likely because this synthetic material is stretched out, so it kind of hugs down on the end of the grip bar. More mesh and no ventilated holes on the thumb, as well as a synthetic attached thumb. It does say Trauemy right here on the thumb itself, trademarked. And there you have it. So quality-wise, the gloves are actually really good. For a $20 budget glove. I mean, compared to what I've seen from other companies that come out with a budget glove, I mean, the synthetic on here is really clean. Other than the logo being kind of crooked, that's more of an aesthetic, but the stitching looks pretty solid. You know, I didn't have any issues with any kind of like thread fraying. I've had Everlast gloves that just had threads poking out everywhere, but you can see here, like the edges look really clean as far as the stitching, the palm, the mesh is done pretty well. You know, the actual stitching profile and how well they stitch is pretty clean. You know, I mean, you can't really critique them on that because that looks all good. The piping is done pretty nicely. And here's the back of the glove. You know, that patch on the back that says Trauemy stitched in pretty well. The gloves are advertised as 14-ounce gloves, and they came in a little overweight, like about 14 and a half. So they're about a 1/2 ounce overweight, but that's not a huge deal in my eyes for a training glove. And the good thing is that both gloves were pretty much equal weight. So I think the left was at 14.6 and the right was at 14.5. So in terms of consistency between the two gloves, they're pretty much the same exact weight. So sometimes I've done reviews in the past, and there's with gloves where the gloves themselves are like a whole ounce off between each other. So something happened in the manufacturing process with those gloves where maybe they didn't put enough foam in one and then they put too much in the other, or just something along those lines where it threw the weight off between the two. And you can see the gloves are decently balanced. It's a little bit top heavy because you have such soft padding on the inside of the wrist. Maybe if they made that a little bit more firm, it would be a little bit more balanced and not so top heavy. But the back padding right here, this density, really helps with the structural rigidity of the glove. So it doesn't just completely flop down, which is a good thing as well. You can see the front strike surface looks good. One thing about synthetics that is really nice is typically if you do a pretty good job of maintaining these, you get yourself like a damp cloth and you can wipe them off, and typically like all the dirt and sweat wipes off pretty easily if you can maintain them. But so far, haven't had any issues with it falling apart, no rips or tears with the synthetic. Overall, holding up pretty good. Comfort-wise, sliding your hand into the glove. So one thing about this glove, it is a little bit of a snug fit. The Velcro strap feels pretty good. I do like the fact that it's a little bit tapered, so you feel like you get a little bit more support. It's a little bit tighter. The thumb placement is good. One thing about the thumb is the depth of it doesn't allow you to really jam your finger towards the very tip of the thumb, so that's good. The piping is a little bit tight, so it would have been nice if this was a little bit looser, because when I have my hand wraps on, this gets a little bit on the tight side. So it's gonna take a little bit of breaking in, but the thumb itself feels pretty comfortable. The foam on the back of the thumb is pretty dense too, so you might feel a little bit of discomfort. Once that starts to break in and soften up, it'll be a little bit better. I do like the depth of the finger compartment, nice and deep. And they do put a neoprene pad at the very tip right here, so you can act as like a dual grip bar. The only critique I have is where that neoprene grip is at, where it connects to this mesh on the finger area. You can feel the stitching, and it would have been nice if they just covered that up. The width of the finger compartment, I'd say, is a little bit on the narrow side, and you can see kind of how it just has kind of that oval peak. It would have been nice if it kind of dropped down and you got a little bit more room on the exterior, on the outside where your pinky is at, and kind of flattened out right here, so you have a little bit more room. As I feel that someone that has bigger fingers than mine may feel that your fingers might get a little bit crowded in this portion of the glove, so I feel like that's a little bit on the narrow side. The gloves themselves are pretty stiff right off the bat. When you start using them, they'll start breaking in, but they're not a super soft glove in terms of being able to open and close your hands to parry punches or strikes, so do keep that in mind. But other than that, the gloves feel really comfortable. You do have a little bit of material bunching up in this part of the finger compartment, which is extra slack from the material. But I do like the fact that they use a softer foam against the back of your hand. So on this area of your hand, you have a softer foam or liner that is basically a barrier between your hand and this denture layered foam that they use. Protection and performance-wise, this is definitely more of a protective glove. They do use a layered foam that's definitely more on the dense side. So you can see here, once I push down on it, I mean, it's a very dense and stiff feeling glove. So shock absorption is very nice. Feedback, not so much, but you do get a good sense of pop and bang out of these gloves, because it does compress pretty good if you land some really hard, powerful shots. You'll notice also that the punch surface does flatten out pretty well, and you do land on your two front knuckles. It just takes some time to really break these particular gloves in, but again, I'd say that these are on the more protective side. If you're looking for something a little bit softer, you want to be able to feel your knuckles really sink in and make that contact, then these probably wouldn't be the gloves for you. Cost-wise, these gloves again are $20. Which beyond that, anything lower, I wouldn't even know how they're gonna make a profit from selling a glove like this. Although I'm sure that, probably only cost companies, maybe $5 at most to manufacture something like this. So again, obviously they're gonna make their cut when they sell the gloves. But for the gloves I've tried so far at this price point, I would probably say these are the best ones I've tried so far. I mean, I've tried a couple out there, from Everlast, Sanibel, there's another, Trauemy, I think is the other glove I tried. And they're all pretty solid for what they were, but from the ones I've used, this is definitely the best one in terms of just comfort. I do like the layered foam, that's a little bit more on the dense side. The material and just the overall craftsmanship of the glove seems to be more on point with this as well. You can just tell that they just did a better and cleaner job with this particular glove. You don't have a bunch of threads hanging everywhere. It just doesn't feel like it's incomplete, where some of the other budget gloves do feel that way. So again, for the $20 price point, I think these are a great glove for those of you that are maybe starting off in boxing or on a budget and want to try something that's a little bit more affordable without breaking the bank, then this would be a good choice for you. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these Trauemy boxing gloves. I'll see you guys later. Take care.